What's up, friends? How we doing? Happy Saturday, and welcome to pregame here. As we're getting ready to, I'm getting ready to head to Hilton for Iowa State and Oklahoma. 1 o'clock tip. I think it's on ESPN Plus or the Big 12 channel. Will be a great day up there with the women playing tonight at 6-2 against a ranked Oklahoma team. So a couple of really huge games. This is when you combine the two programs, this might be the biggest day of the year as far as both games happening at once. Before I look at today's matchups, let's hear from our good friends and sponsors at the Iowa Clinic.
So, my life gets crazy with Brooke and Blake and a husband that works 80 hours a day, a week, and I decided to start my own business on top of it, which is insanely crazy. But thanks to the Iowa Clinic, they made it easy to see my doctor. And when I get there, she listens. So I feel like I have a partner. And before you know it, I can get back to my crazy, busy, insanely busy life where I have a busy business, busy husband, and busy twins. Oh no, where's Brooke? There she is. Care how you want it. Visit iowaclinic.com.
Actually, I just saw that my vasectomy commercials are back on. I keep getting texts. Hey, Williams, we just saw you with a bag of peas on your boys. I keep getting those texts. Thanks to the Iowa Clinic for their sponsorship of pregame here. Really quick, I want to start with the Big 12 standings right now. I think it's really interesting because right now, of course, we are at that time of year where everybody's talking about bracketology and the NCAA tournament and all that good stuff. What a bizarre year for the Big 12, where you have Iowa State, who right now is a tournament team, right now, clearly work to do. Then you have Kansas State, who just beat Iowa State, who's like the outside looking in. Iowa State's technically at the bottom of the Big 12, just above West Virginia, but Kansas State's in fifth, but there's only 2 games separating the two. It really is a weird league this year. We know how strong it is. It just shows you that this thing is a freaking meat grinder, just like we knew it was going to be. I just if you look at it on a daily basis, like I do after these games, it's bizarre how like much it can change after one day, right? Today's matchups coming up here in 30, TCU at Baylor, Texas Tech at Texas. That'll be a doozy. Kansas State at Oklahoma State, of course, Oklahoma at Iowa State, and Kansas and West Virginia coming up tonight from Morgantown. Iowa State is right now a 1.5 favorite today over the Sooners. I feel like, I don't know about you guys, but when I look at Iowa State's like year, and there's 2 games that really stand out to me that were like, damn. First of all, the Kansas game, right? Because we all feel like Iowa State probably should have won that game. There were some bad calls towards the end, whatever. Like you just like you never counted on that one though, right? I felt like the Oklahoma game on January 8th, where Iowa State had a double-digit lead in the second half and ended up blowing that thing and barely scored, in the last 10 minutes of that game. To me, like that's the ultimate like kick to the groin game so far this year for this team. I know there are others. There's some other TCU and Kansas State at home, right? Like that would be in the conversation, no doubt. But that Oklahoma game, I don't know. It felt like at that point there was a downward trend that started with the team, and you just wonder, would that have happened had you pulled that one out? I don't know, but the point is, you can get it back today. Um, it it's really difficult for me to fathom this Iowa State team going to the NCAA tournament with 4 home conference losses. I'm not saying it's impossible. It certainly isn't based on where Iowa State is at right now. But when you look at we've had this conversation though, and this is the problem. We've had a similar conversation with this team when you talk about Kansas State last week and when you talk about TCU on January 22nd, when you go, well, you need this one to get to the tournament, and they didn't get it, and here we still are talking on February 19th about the tournament. But here, this is my thing. You got to look at the Big 12 standings, right, which we already kind of talked about. I think if Iowa State, as long as they're 19, 20 wins, and they are not last in the Big 12, I think they'll be in the tournament based off of what they've done. What you don't want to be is heading into that committee meeting the last place team in a conference, because then it makes it difficult for me to justify putting you in despite how many quad one wins you might have. Does that make sense? That's kind of where I'm at today. Without, go listen to Scott and Jared. They did the breakdown of the game. I'm not as into that stuff. I'm more of a big picture guy. And that's where I'm at with this Cyclone team. Like, you've got to really take advantage of the next two games, because if you don't want to finish in the cellar of this conference, the best conference in college basketball, and you've got all the quad one wins, right? But you're sitting at 4-9. The two teams around you, Oklahoma and West Virginia, you get them in the next 4 days at home. Step on their throats. That's the point of the season where we are at. Step on their throats. I think if Iowa State wins its next two games, it's in the NCAA tournament. I honestly believe that. Take care of these next two. I think you're in. May have to go to Dayton, which would suck. But I think if they win the next two, they're in the NCAA tournament. I truly, truly believe that. You're going to be favored in both of these games. Slight favorite today, albeit, right? 1.5. But I think it's as simple as that. Let's go to a couple of questions here. Take some questions. What about 2 or 3-way tie for last place? Would that make a difference? Good question, James. Maybe. Yeah, it might. That might. All I know is how the committee works, right? And the committee, they don't look and go, hey, what's your conference record? They look at, hey, what is your total body of work? Iowa State has a great total body of work, but not a great conference body of work. I think that it's very possible there's a 2 or a 3-way tie. I do think that changes things, though. Yeah, now that I think about it a little bit, because that's a different conversation. You still don't want to be in that, though, right? Like, I think you can really step on the throats of these guys today, and on, I think, Wednesday is the next game. I don't really know that, James. I'm kind of just BSing you here. I'm just like to keep it real with you guys, but I don't think that would be nearly as bad as being in the cellar by yourself. Let's hear from Scott here. Yeah, you just need to win at home. I mean, we completely agree. The thing is, again, though, we rationally are like, we're all very close to this team, right? We watch this team. We live and die by every shot. The committee, a game in November, right or wrong, means as much to the committee as a game in late February. It's just a fact. So that win against Xavier and Memphis on a neutral court means just as much as today does. We as fans tend to really we live and die by every game. So we are like the latest is greatest, right? Oh, we're the best team. We beat TCU on the road. Not really. I mean, you were like that TCU making a 3 away from losing that game. Let's be honest. And the same with like last Saturday, right? Like, I mean, if Iowa State wins that game in overtime after blowing a 15-point lead to an average Kansas State team, do you feel any better? Yeah, you do. And like, we're all celebrating it, but the performance wasn't much different. This is a game of inches that we're talking about here with this team. And I guarantee you today's going to be like that as well. Jackson, is Harkless out today for OU? I haven't seen, honestly, that I had heard that might be a thing. Looking right now. I haven't seen, but I'm going up to Hilton soon. We will investigate. Jared and Connor are going to be up there too, and we'll keep you guys updated on that. Let's hear from Steve. Could the Big 12? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you go off, that's the thing. Like, I mean, let's say hypothetically, just a hypothetical, Iowa State wins its next 2 games, right? And that puts you at 19 wins on the year, and you still get Oklahoma State at home. But let's just put Iowa State at 20 wins. I think that they're comfortably in. Let's say, for argument, for the conversation, they're at 19. Yeah, that could be a situation where you go into Kansas City and be like, you need 1. Yeah, I mean, the conference tournament always matters, but here's a misnomer. Most fans don't realize it. What did we just go over? The games in November matter just as much. So we tend to put more emphasis on those because it's right now and the tournament is right there. However, when the committee looks at it, it's not really that. I mean, winning at Creighton was a bigger deal than beating Oklahoma and Kansas City, right? It's still going to be the case. So I truly believe take care of these next two. I think if you get to 19 wins, I think that you're in Dayton. I think if you get to 20 wins, you're a lock. Just my opinion, based off of everything that I'm combing through here. With that, the women have a huge game tonight as well, as they are trotting their way towards a potential Big 12 championship. Going to be tough, but I think they can win it in Kansas City for sure. And we appreciate all of you guys watching. I'm going to head up to Hilton Coliseum right now, snoop around, one of those things, investigate. Looking forward to that. Love you all. Thanks for watching. Go Columbus.